The Reese's Peanut Butter Cup minis have
They're
gotten
mini.
smaller. Anyway, hi guys.
Hi.
This is awesome. I'm loving this. It's very dramatic, very kind of like into like a flow, into a flux.
It's just all on a loop, so whatever shows up when I pot it up is what
good.
we get.
And Chris is dancing in the studios.
Do my white boy dancing.
I got $1.
And you have reached, yet again, Monkey Business. This is Studios at WFC3. I am your host, Chris. With me, as always, is pretty much everybody on the planet. If you're listening to the podcast, it's because you were not in the studio. I think that's about it.
The other 4 people.
But yeah, the gang is here. Cheer, cheer, the gang is here. Billy, Tanya, Sherry, our producer, Chris, our assistant producer, and Dolly, and Ian, and Zach, and Rob, and Pat Best.
Howdy.
Our returning teacher from the University Preparatory Academy for Young Men. Did I get that right? Was I close enough?
Charter school.
Yeah,
Charter school.
It's a charter school.
And
It's a
the
charter
rest
school.
of the Beatles gave you a raw deal.
I want to call them men.
Oh, that was Pete Best.
And that was Pete.
Are we playing 6 degrees of Pat Best now?
No, the 6 degrees of Pat Best this time. Last week we talked about Mark Shepard. Now
I
we're
can't
going
play that game. I already told you guys that.
Pat, tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
So straight up, I am a teacher. Mm-hmm. Originally didn't go to college to be a teacher. Went to be a cop at first, and then I just was like, hey, I don't want to be depressed the rest of my life. And then I went.
So you became a high school teacher?
Yeah, so then I became a teacher,
What were you
and now
thinking?
I'm depressed the rest of my life. While being a teacher, though, just kind of realizing that I don't like as much as I like teaching. Mm-hmm. I realized I have other passions and things like that. So I just got into as much as I possibly could.
Okay.
And so I've done improv. I've done.
Very cool.
Yeah. It's
How was
fun.
that? Was that
it's
fun?
I will admit this. So another thing is I do wrestling.
Uh-huh.
Improv is scarier than wrestling for me, 100%.
I've done it, so I know what you're talking about.
It is terrifying.
It is.
Yeah. Yes.
Now, the wrestling, you were part of what? It's like one of the local roster units, yes?
UPW, Upstate Pro Wrestling.
Which we have members on our team, who like Jason Hilton, who's been involved in that.
Yeah, actually, he.
I thought Mr. Best looked familiar
Yes.
because I've seen the UPW's website.
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to ask, are you still active with him at this point? or?
Yeah. Right now, I don't actually do any of the wrestling just because I tore my labrum.
Oh, geez.
In July, I had surgery, so right now, I'm doing the ring announcing.
Okay.
So I took the job of somebody else so they could do they turn bad guy.
Okay.
And so, or heel as it's called. And
Yeah, heel and
I didn't
face.
want to-
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm familiar with
That
some of
one
the terms.
I did recognize
to
the
s-
terms because we
I
did do a
have to-
wrestling one way
yeah,
back when.
sometimes I'll say like the terms that are more known for other people, and then when I use the wrestling terms, people look at me like, "What does that mean?" So like, if I say face and heel, you guys know what that means. Like,
Yes.
we're all
Heel's a
good, right?
bad
We're all
guy.
good?
Face is a good guy.
We're all good.
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
good.
one of our senior board members who was on a lot of the early podcasts, Brian Burke, is a big wrestling fan, and he does the
Yes.
weekly show with Cashman on I can't
the Pain
remember.
Clinic on,
Yeah, the Pain
on
Clinic.
Fox Sports 1280.
And then again, Jason Hilton, Colin Delaney have both been on the podcast on
Yeah.
a couple of occasions. And then we had the show at the 2017 convention where we had the whole ring set up, and UPW came out to.
So you weren't
do
in
their
it, the
thing.
Tyrannosaurus Rex costume
No,
running around the ring, were you?
That was right. Literally, that weekend was right after I just went to the doctors and got confirmed that I tore my labrum.
Oh, geez.
And he basically, the doctor was like, you shouldn't, like, you could do stuff, but if something happens, you will. And since the surgery was months later, that was supposed to get in July. I got the surgery July 17th. We scheduled it 2 months in advance. If I would have done any more damage, I would have lost all use of my left arm.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was pretty bad as it was. I couldn't lift anything above 30 pounds, and putting on shirts was excruciating.
Oh,
Yeah, it was fun.
but it turned out to be not a career-ending injury.
No,
or
not at all.
Or a life-altering one
It just takes forever.
to retire.
Yeah.
How you feeling these days?
Decent. Pretty
Decent.
good. Getting mobility back. Can put my arm above my head now, which is... Yeah,
That's a
look
start.
at that, look at that.
Yeah, look at that. Hey, all righty. The teacher
Look at
has
that.
raised his hand in class.
that.
Very nice.
Yeah, so it's been a pretty long process.
Okay.
I'll be back training wise December, January, and I won't be able to step in a ring probably for another 3 months after that until
Okay.
I get into like shape.
Keep us posted how you doing there.
Yeah, of course.
Now-
We got shows coming up. November 11th, we got a show.
Did you hear about that one?
Eagles Club, November to December.
Okay.
Be there. Yeah.
Yes, I've seen that preview.
Yeah, November, December. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did you get into it? Because that's a question I asked Jason, I asked Colin, I've asked a lot of people, but each story seems to be a little different.
Yeah. So I've always loved it as a child. Huge fan of it. I eventually kind of got away from it as I got older, not because I didn't like it. It's just lost cable, so couldn't watch it.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, that sucks. I've always been kind of a character person in general. I like to act out a lot. It's one of the things that helps me with teaching because I literally go into characters of who I am.
Oh, very cool.
Oh, yeah. Like, I'll go all out with it. But started doing acting, and then I went to one of the house shows in Buffalo, and I saw one of the other guys who's part of the company, Bobby DePinto.
Okay.
I saw him there, and he was just, like, at the show. We talked for a second, and I knew that he just started doing it. And he was like, you should definitely come out and try it. And I was like, no, I'm doing the acting thing. I'm good. I was like, I don't think it's for me. And he goes, that's 100% what I do. I am like, he was like, I take a character, and I go out there, and I perform. And he goes like, Andy, you're athletic. And I was getting more serious about my powerlifting after football. So I was like, all right. The following weekend, I just went to the training center with him, hung out, and immediately right there, they were just like, here, we'll just have you take a bump, which is literally falling on your back. And I just fell on my back, and I was like, oh, I like this. I don't know why. I just was like, I like this. And then I've been sticking with it since, and it's been a blast.
So
That's great.
What is your wrestling character?
My name is Frank Best.
Okay.
I took my grandfather's name.
Okay.
I've debuted technically like once or twice, and we've changed like the image of my guy a couple of times. I'm the guy, so if I go on to Frank Best, so I'll do him right now. I guess.
Here we go. Here he comes.
So Frank Best, he talks a little bit like this. He's that guy, you know.
Yeah, he's that guy.
You got something like, oh, I see you got a Penguins hat. That's nice. If you need any more hats with that, I got a guy. I do a lot of bookings. You know, I'm all about the matches.
Are you channeling Joe Pesci's Leo Getz?
Pretty much
from Lethal Weapon, because Leo Getz. Okay, if you need it, Leo Getz.
Cement shoes. I'm getting the swimming with the fishes feel.
What are you trying to say?
I think I got an Uncle Tony that's related to you.
I don't know.
He's got a guy who knows the guy.
So sort of like the ECW's old full-blooded Italians, the FBI.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, okay. Wow, there's a reference.
Yeah,
Right?
I even caught that one. That was wild. Good stuff.
We get a lot of guys that are from the ECW that come back and wrestle with ECW.
I used to love ECW.
I caught one of their
Used
shows.
to?
The one show was
they don't
outside.
exist anymore.
They left Philadelphia. It was at the Golden Dome in Monaca, Pennsylvania, on the campus of Community College of Beaver County.
Oh boy.
And
Nice Beaver.
they
just
had
rolls
the
right
most
off the tongue.
amazing collection of things that the security had confiscated from the people.
Well, they're not supposed to.
The guy next to us ripped the bumper off of his truck in the parking lot and attempted to bring it in.
But watching ECW TV, it used to be my favorite just to see what the wrestlers would pull from the front row to use as weapons.
But there was a toilet.
Yeah.
A full-size toilet
Cookie
that somebody
sheets,
had pulled,
cheese
either
graters.
purchased brand new or ripped out of their home.
Well, they
And
had
it was-
they had the Sandman take on Balls Mahoney for a beer. It was fun.
He was drunk? That's crazy.
Drugs and
So
wrestling?
who are your
No.
favorite wrestlers growing up?
I'm all over the place. I follow styles a lot, just like different styles of wrestling. So me, when I was young, I was a plumpier fat guy. So I was a giant fan of Mick Foley, Cactus Jack, Mankind.
Nice.
I got to meet him recently. Him, I was raised with Stone Cold. Then I really liked Kane. Technician wise, not that. I mean, he's a great wrestler. He does his job. But like, if you watched him, like he just walked around, and I was like, cool. I'm unathletic. I understand that he's extremely strong and athletic, but like his whole character is to just move around slowly. And I was like, I like that, and the mystique behind it. And then one of the other guys I just randomly caught one of his matches when I was younger was Barry Windham. Really love watching him.
Nice,
He's a big guy who can move really well. I actually worked with Steve Austin, was his tag partner for a little bit, but he's up there. And Bruiser Brody is another one of my favorites. And right now I'm I'm basically teaching everybody Ric Flair like crazy. Like all my students, we have Ric Flair.
There's
Friday.
a 30 for 30
Yeah,
on
saw
ESPN
that.
about Ric Flair coming
I
up
wanna
in a
watch
week or
it
two.
so bad.
Yeah.
So,
Now, how long have you been involved in wrestling then at this point?
this will be about 2 years now.
Okay.
So not long. I started pretty late, but it's not like I'm like it takes me wherever it takes me wherever. I just do it because I love it. It's fun.
That's a key. That's a
Yeah.
key thing. Is to do it because you're having fun.
Yeah. You get a lot of guys that come in and just want to do it because they think they're going to go to TV and be famous immediately, and they usually last maybe like 2 or 3 weeks because one of the things I heard earlier, someone said the F word when it comes to wrestling.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah,
Fun.
I don't
So
think
much
that was the
fun.
F word in question.
Yeah. As much as
Had a K
certain
in it.
things are possibly
Flippant.
determined, you can say
It-
that.
so more staged than.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll go with that.
predetermined.
And I
but
even feel terrible.
Those guys
I even
work
feel terrible
hard.
saying stuff like this because I mean, like, I'm still new to it technically, and I'm learning every aspect of it as I possibly can, whether it's production, whether it's managing. Like, I'm trying to learn it all. And I was going through, like, yes, you do have a lot of guys talk about it on the air a lot. And then, like, there's other guys that are, like, the old style, like, really old.
Oh, they don't
Won't-
break kayfabe.
Never. I actually just watched a clip on wrestlers that refuse to break kayfabe so much to the point where, like, they got in giant legal troubles and, like, put themselves through immense physical
Tim Woods.
issues.
There's a plane crash years ago and involved Tim Woods, who was Mr. Wrestling. He
Yes.
was he was a face, and he was on the plane with Ric Flair, Johnny Valentine, who were heels. Now, just to explain that, how would they explain that? You know, the face is on the same plane. So he went and wrestled with a broken back,
Yeah.
like 2 weeks,
2 weeks after
the
the
plane
plane
crash.
Yeah.
Wow.
To say, like, he wasn't on the plane. Like, of course, like, yeah, they're injured because they were on a plane. I was never on it. And, like, here, so, Sabu, a guy from ECW, broke his neck. And his whole thing for the longest time is that he didn't speak any English, supposedly. So when they took him to the hospital, they're asking him questions, and he refused to talk. He just would not talk for, I think it was like 3 or 4 hours.
Sabu was insane, though.
Yeah, like he finally had, like, they had to have Paulie Dangerous come in and be like, oh no, he speaks, and had to, like, argue with Sabu to get him to be like, you got to talk, we got to know where your pain is, with stuff like that.
Yeah.
Broken neck, and he's still just like, nope, I'm not breaking.
Not
neck.
breaking character.
He's the guy I saw close a cut shut with a super glue. So
Yeah,
Jesus.
he wore that tape on his arm because he tore his bicep he tore his bicep off in a match, a barbed wire match. Tore his bicep, and so he just straight up went to the side like all the guys in the tables, asked for some tape. He literally just takes it over and just wraps it around his arm, rips it, and then just continues with the
Insane.
match.
yeah,
you just see blood gushing
So
out.
fake
Moses.
isn't a good word, to be honest with you,
I'm
because stuff
thinking more
happens.
Right.
and-
I'm
Staged
thinking
is
more
probably-
stage is
Yeah.
what I was
But
probably
that's-
thinking.
That was
Coordinated and-
old wrestling, though. Like, me and my brother actually, it's funny. We were discussing this yesterday. A lot of the wrestling it's now PG-13 or something like that. Is the rating they have now. The only reason why it's not G-rated is because wrestling is violent.
Okay.
But you can't swear. You can't. They used to, the chairs to the head. You can't do that anymore on, like, the television
that.
There's no
wrestling.
juicing
You
on
can't.
there, no bleeding.
Yeah, you
they got
can't
rid of the
bleed.
bleed.
You can't do pyrotechnics anymore.
I saw that. I couldn't believe that. They got
Yeah,
rid of
so like
fireworks.
that was the whole thing
Count
with
me out.
Kane. Like he was the red monster from hell, and it was like he comes out fire, and that was like part of his persona. And now they can't do that anymore.
I actually just heard a
Thankfully, he's taking the
podcast
time off
that
to run for office.
the WWE
just
cut
came
down on the
back, actually,
pyrotechnics
too.
to save money.
See, I would believe that.
Yeah, I mean,
would
if they got
definitely
rid
believe
of
that.
like half of their crappy programming, they'd have the money.
I mean, they still, like, a lot of friends of mine watch the indie circuit, like Ring of Honor, PCW, and that's more like the old school. Where
Yeah.
they have, like, people throwing rolls of toilet paper in the
Yeah.
ring. And,
jeez.
I
mean,
it's
like,
just fun
Yeah.
stuff.
Our shows are all, I keep saying our, but UPW. They do their stuff is kind of like the old style, but mixing with PG at the same time. Just because because of the laws passing for New York State Commission of Combat Sports. So now that New York State can have UFC, mixed martial arts, things like that, they do regulate wrestling now. They regulate our shows, so we have to follow some of the same things. We can't. So like the swearing part, certain people will still do it here and there. Certain guys will or women will just they'll yell at fans, things like that. Like, you can yell at fans, but it's kind of like where you are in, like, what is it called? Not your caste system.
The hierarchy.
Like
The hierarchy.
The hierarchy. There you go.
Yeah.
Too many
Cast
shots.
system's good.
Cast system
Cast
works.
system's good
Cast
work.
system. When you die as one wrestler, you come back as a manager. No, depending on where you are in the hierarchy, some guys will go for it and like nothing will happen to them because like you're untouchable, not untouchable. You got a certain level of respect. You go out there as a new guy, like you debut, and all of a sudden you yell at a fan and you tell them like, "Oh, F your mother" and all that stuff. It's like you're probably gonna get a good earful.
Yeah.
Once you get back through that other side,
You
that
gotta sit
locker
down
room.
for a little while.
Oh yeah, I mean, but that's like WWE does the PG stuff. They do, so, and that's again with the followers and sponsors. They don't want to. I mean, they did
Rock
do
the
their
boat.
share of really crappy stuff in the past. So
The
they're
whole
they're
Attitude
paying it.
Era.
What?
The whole Attitude Era.
Oh yeah.
I like the Attitude Era. That was when I actually used to watch wrestling, and then they came out with John Cena, and I stopped.
It happens.
Well, you go
'Cause
back
I
to
was like,
breaking
no.
kayfabe too. When the Outsiders and Hall and Nash left, they broke kayfabe in the ring at the cage match, and they all hugged. And they couldn't punish Shawn Michaels because he was too popular, so they had Triple H doing like hog matches with Henry O. Godwin
yeah.
and stuff like that.
Well, that's another thing that they can't do anymore. They can't have like factions anymore because they don't want to promote gang activity on the
That
wrestling.
seems a little silly
which is
because
so
teams are a thing.
Yeah, you can't do that
The
anymore.
Shield just
Faction
reunited
here.
like a couple weeks ago.
The Shield just reunited.
But there's like a certain amount. You can't have more than certain people in factions. So you can't ever have like
5 or 6.
like DX anymore, like stuff like that. You can't have like little factions anymore.
New
But-
World Order. It was,
Yeah, you
I
can't.
remember that.
That's
Guy
like
with the NWO shirt yesterday. I was like,
You,
yes.
you see them occasionally,
Nice.
and then the Red Wolfpack one.
Right.
yes.
It was actually the ministry song.
Now, have you ever had a chance to wrestle our guy Jason?
No, I've been in the ring with him, but the first match I ever got in was a battle, just a battle royal or Royal Rumble. I was in the ring with him, but he was facing the other way, and I had set up a spot with another guy, another newcomer. So him and I were like, "Yes, first match. We're going to do this amazing thing." And older guys were like, "No, F that. That's not happening." And so we went to do our spot. Didn't go well. And then I think we both ran at each other. We both did a double bump, which you're not supposed to do ever.
Okay. What is a double bump?
Him and I went to run at each other and clothesline each other. And since I'm the bigger person, I'm supposed to stay up no matter what. But I thought the rule was if he's running, I take a bump too.
Yeah.
So we both fell, and it just looked awful.
Okay.
And then one of the head guys just literally comes over and he goes like, "That's it, Best. You're done." Grabs me by the back of the neck and just throws, like, no hits, no nothing. Like, it didn't even look. I looked like the most pathetic human being. Like, I didn't take one shot. Like, no one really hit me. And all he does is grab me by the neck and then throws me out. And I came out probably to the best song in the world, though. And it is now my theme song is Baker Street.
Oh, Joe Rafferty.
Very cool.
That's my theme song now.
See, Billy's going to track it down, play a little snippet.
People try to, like, they did it as a joke when I first debuted because they're like, "Oh, this would be hilarious." Like, because they gave me the weirdest singlet too because I didn't have any gear yet. I was just thrown in on the spot.
Okay.
And they gave me this like black and red.
Okay, this song. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
They had me wear this black and red singlet, and I was like, "Oh, this looks weird."
Were you wearing what you're wearing now? You got your Robin
My
T-shirt
Robin
with
shirt,
the cape with the cape off the back.
I wish.
It's very snazzy.
I even switched it. I don't even know when I come back what I'll be wearing because I kind of do. We'll see. Depends on.
Is Frank Best!
Yes, I love it.
That's it, right
Yeah.
there. Now, you kind of a bit of a Renaissance man. You know, teacher,
Yeah. Sadly.
professional wrestler, improvisational actor. What else have you been trying to add to your resume?
Powerlifting.
Powerlifting?
I wanted to start doing competitions
Okay.
once I get healed and get back. I don't know what else.
He's going to go on a World War II trip.
Yeah.
And Ian has left
Bye,
the
Ian.
building. If you followed us last week, you'll
General
understand why
Patton
that's
was
funny.
a power lifter back in his early days.
He's
My-
going
He
to power
went by
lift
the
one
name
of those
Boom Boom
atomic
Patton.
bombs.
My powerlifting involves 12-ounce curls of whatever happens to be the drink
Do you
in
want
front
to
of me.
do like WBO, WBF,
Of
or all that
licensed
type of
drinking.
competitions with your powerlifting?
Yeah. I'm probably gonna right now. I'll probably do I think it's my brother did the USPA recently for a deadlift competition, and I saw him do that, and I was like, this is amazing, because everyone's just extremely supportive of each other, and I feel like it's one of the things I realized, that a lot of things I'm getting into, whether it's teaching, wrestling, lifting, improv, or anything, it's not as competitive amongst each other as I thought it would be. Everyone's out to support each other 100%.
That's cool.
Even at wrestling too, there are politics in the bag. I mean, there is with everything you do.
Yeah, we're familiar with it.
Yeah, it's fun. But a lot of guys, they're just there to help, and at the lifting meet, so everyone's trying to win. They're trying to be the number one spot, and you see them come back, and after a lifting, it's like, oh man, you almost had it. Like guys who are neck and neck. Actually, just I lifted with Kyle Sheridan. He's one of the top 25 in the nation right now. Overall lift of deadlift, bench, and squat. I went and saw him. What is it? And he was neck and neck with this other guy. It was up to those two to win the first place spot, and it came down to their last two lifts. And they're both sitting next to each other, talking to each other about technique. About okay, man, when you do this, when you hit this point, squeeze like that. He's like, focus here. And I was like, how does that? I didn't understand. I'm like, how does that make sense?
That's sportsmanship. That's the way it ought to be.
I was like, that's insane.
Awesome.
I'm involved with roller derby.
Nice.
He's doing some calculations in his head right now. You can see it.
I got something for you when you're done.
Okay. Well, I'm a non-skating official with the Central New York Roller Derby, and we always get asked because there's the Rock City Roller Girls who are just fabulous. We're always, do you get along with them? We may compete against each other, but afterwards we have parties.
Yeah,
we're having.
That's the way it ought to be.
It really is.
Really, it is.
And I can't. And I'm not even allowed to, because I'm a non-skating official. I'm not even allowed to really root for my own team. So that's kind of interesting.
You just gotta sit there.
Yeah, yeah, because I've got to
be impartial.
That was a good play on both parts. Great job.
And I've learned very well to. I don't cheer. I don't. Yay! The one thing I can't do is when somebody takes a real good hit, the facial expression. I don't care what team it is. It's ooh, oh, that hurt.
Yeah,
you still make that face no matter what.
Oh yeah,
no matter what.
I've done it as a ring announcer. They've taken some. So now, one of the ongoing jokes is one of the guys there is a photographer at the shows. He does take pictures of everything, and he goes, "I love to take pictures of your face." First off, he said it in the most awkward way possible.
Nice.
I love to take pictures of your face.
I'm trying to help put stuff away with my one good arm and stuff, and he comes up and he's like, "I have to tell you something." I was like, "Yes," and he goes, "I like to take pictures of your face." And I just looked at everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you start wondering if maybe he was sneaking into your room?
I literally just looked at everybody did anyone else hear that? Can someone save me?
Silk stocking.
There it is. Yeah. It climbs into the ring or it gets the hose again.
Next thing you know, he wants to wear your face.
What lotion do you use?
Awkward.
Vaseline cocoa butter. Shit's great. So I had to ask him, I was like, why do you care? And he goes, I don't know, why do you take pictures of my face? What purpose is that? And he goes, it's because when everything's happening, you literally make the weirdest faces when people get hit or something. Because literally, so when we talk about what's predetermined or anything like that or stage, if my thing is, if I'm not in the match, I don't want to know. If I through and through, you can even, they have stuff written down, whatever happens,
you don't want to know.
I don't want to know unless I'm in it. Because I legit I look at it as
you're one of the fans, the fans that
it gives you that
whatever.
Authenticity, so you can approach it.
So I'm watching moves and stuff, and that same thing. I gotta be impartial, 100%. So I know who's a heel and who's a face, and whose moves I actually like. I'm like, oh, I'd rather this guy win or whatever. But I have to be 100% impartial. So even introducing them, I'm like, oh, here comes this guy, and I know the guy's going to be a complete dick to me because he's a heel, and their whole thing was, when I was wearing the sling, the whole thing was, we're going to go in and we're going to hit your arm. And I was like, please don't. Don't hit my arm. I will snap on you when I'm healed. And so they come out, and I'm like, and introduce, and I have to go all happy about it. Same thing with watching, though. I'm just like, oh shit, my face, and I'm like, I don't want to yell either. So, because I'm to the side, so everyone sees me. I'm dressed up, so a lot of people still will watch me too, and There's been people that will just sit there and watch me react, and I was like,
You're going to be a meme one of these days.
A couple weeks ago, we did an interview with a blogger and author named Marco Shiro, and he was admitting that some of his fans have put together an Instagram feed, a Tumblr feed of Mark's face. Basically, and it's just his expressions as he's watching things and he's reading things, and you see the expressions as he's going through.
He's like,
so I'm expecting that this is probably going to be something that will happen. There will be an Instagram of Pat's face.
I'll
all of his various expressions.
Fame for
It'll
me.
be the best Tumblr.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
I didn't even get it. It was so bad.
He was expecting it from Rob, not Chris.
I'm glad everyone
That
gets
is probably
this
one of
much.
the greatest critiques I've ever heard. It was so bad I didn't even get it.
I'm glad everyone loves all these best jokes.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
26.
But Rob's
I've
the
had
best at them.
I've had them forever.
The pun master of the podcast
He's been very
is over
quiet.
there.
He's afraid that he's really going to die.
Somebody's going to hurt him.
Milky Way next week for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of them.
A 6-pack.
It's going to be need more than that to offset
Yeah, well,
the comment
our last
time.
name is Frank, so imagine what I've had to deal with over the years. Oh, you're
Frankly, I don't care.
That's it.
Yep.
Oh, you've got two first names.
See, the only thing I have
Wah,
going
wah.
for me is my favorite Polish joke ever.
And that is?
Okay, well, you know my last name, Alberski.
Right.
Why do so many Polish names end in ski?
Okay.
Because they can't spell toboggan.
Womp, womp.
And on that note, thank you everybody for the studios.
And this has been Monkey Business.
Hey, I never
we're off
said
here.
it was a good joke.
Okay,
I
well,
just said it
at
was
least you
my
clarified.
favorite.
It was just because they can't spell.
So when are you making pierogies for us?
I don't make pierogies, but I do make a really excellent pierogi casserole.
Yummy.
Now, here's a tangent.
Okay, tangent, yes.
Here we
Oh,
go.
we warned him.
Food, I love food, though.
Is it pronounced pierogi or pierogi?
Oh, shit.
I don't.
You get this wrong,
Okay,
you're fired.
this I don't know. I know about stuffed cabbage rolls, but I do not know that.
All right, because here's the thing. I grew up pierogi, and
Yeah.
all my adult life pierogi, and then I get to,
Should we call
being-
Deanna?
I get married to Erica, and she just keeps calling it pierogi. And I'm like, well, it's probably because you're Hispanic, honey, and you have wait. No, that's how it's pronounced. I don't
have
think
never.
so.
There is a
Hold
large
on.
Polish population in our area.
Gee, I wonder.
I'm actually not Polish.
That's the funny part.
Yeah, but I have never heard it pronounced that.
All right,
But
that solves that.
stuffed
for me.
cabbage rolls. What are they called?
I don't know.
Glumky.
Glumky.
Okay, it's pronounced gwumpki, and that is actually the plural.
Oh, I see. Because you never can't just have one. It's like a
Well,
Lay's potato chip.
The singular form is gwumbek.
Gumbek.
Yes.
Doesn't he do a radio show?
That's Glenn Beck.
Oh, okay.
And he's just far less appetizing.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
We actually used to just call
just
them
as
potato
pale, though.
pockets.
Pierogi.
Okay, I actually have a question.
Here we go.
Are you involved in any martial arts?
No,
No.
not at all.
So it's
I
all
watched-
it's all the training you do is just with.
Yeah.
well, yeah, I know you are.
So
Yeah.
that-
We have a Taekwondo
yeah,
master
we were
among
talking
us.
about that earlier about the belts and stuff, and then I did the terrible joke of like, oh, I got a black belt and a brown belt. It's a Levi's.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, you got it.
Hey, all right.
I'm
Nice.
just sitting here with my finger on the button now. The doors have been opened.
Dad jokes, here we go.
This is the improv time
Yeah.
where all the
Yeah.
bad jokes come
Oh
in.
shit! Now I'm gonna get afraid. I'm gonna pee now. Thanks.
Yes, and
Sure, yeah.
But do,
Yes,
you,
and I love no.
do you actually have any plans on taking any lessons of any sort?
I don't know. We'll see down the road. One of the things too is again with the shoulder.
Yeah.
Seeing how recovery goes. Even with wrestling, that's the same thing. Kind of playing it by feel. So some guys are like, "Oh yeah, you can come back and it'll be no problem." Like that happens all the time. And then I've talked to some other people too, and they're like, "Oh no, you don't come. You don't ever go back to like 100% normal." Because I mean, I do have a screw and a bunch of rope in my shoulder now that kind of holds the tissue to the bone. So that's one part. But and the other thing too is I think I would like to because I love the competitive nature of it. Love UFC. I even like Bellator as much as some of those guys that fighting are not good at fighting, but yeah. What was I gonna say?
I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good.
It's all
I'm just
distractions.
distracted by
The body armor that's coming through the middle.
Yeah. But it also would help too, just because a lot of guys do come in with training, so they already have like moves. Like that's one thing I've learned with wrestling is I'm learning moves that are real. But then like that's the way where I get taught is I want to know what's the right way to do it 100% to cause real damage. So I know, like, okay, this is
so
how
you can control it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so they do it all the time. So anytime we get taught anything new, you get it done to you first. So
that's what I always did when I was taking.
Yeah, you learn it so you know what it's supposed to feel like, and then sometimes they even do like a little extra. My teacher, so even Colin Delaney, he does a lot of the teaching for them now on Thursday with the company. We have another coach too, Mark House. Every time that I get trained by any of them, it doesn't matter. Even the guys who aren't teachers, that are just veterans, they teach. That's what we do. Is they're like, okay, so for like an example, they're like, this is a hammer lock. All right, they put me in a hammer lock, and they say this is how it should be. This is the real one, and then they do it, which is excruciating. And then they're like, see, that's why we don't do it that way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thank you. So I've learned a couple of moves, but. It would
So
help.
there's a science behind it.
100%. It's an art form too, big time. Especially, it's just like you got to read the crowds as much. You can go, and same with improv. Like you can go in with a plan, but if the crowd does not react or they react differently, sometimes you got to switch it. You got to switch up the plan.
Kind of be on the
bit.
fly.
Yeah,
Sort of like teaching.
It's sort of like teaching. Sort of like
Has the school ever reacted negatively to you wrestling, or do they not?
Not yet.
Okay.
I'm going to say not yet, just because I haven't done a lot of matches yet, and I'm sure, especially with my whole gimmick is Frank Best, is I'm going to be a jerk. I can either be a face or a heel, depends on how the fans like me. I'm going to be a dirty player. I also, same with I don't have the real fight training, so a lot of my stuff's going to be pure street style of just like I will punch you in the face, I'll do this, or like I said, I'll cheat if I had to.
Okay.
And
Steel.
what?
Light sheet steel.
Yeah, exactly. Or even Ric Flair, dirtiest player in the game. Love it. But when I first got started, actually, it was weird that my boss, the way he found out that I wrestled, was he owned. There was a Total Sports Experience or something like that. He owned basically the dome that we were going in, and I was working security. And he's like, "Oh, you coming to see this?" I was like, "Oh no, I'm working." He's like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, I work security at this right now. It's like how I'm paying my dues a little bit." And they're like, "Oh, you like this stuff?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be it." And he's like, "Oh, that's great!" Like he was all for it. And then the next week, or is it like the next week? I'm at the front desk, and he sees me there, and he was like, "Hey," there was secretaries and a couple other students. Like, "Hey, you know this guy wrestles?" Like, completely fine with it. Another places that I've gone to before I've worked at UPrep, when I've been at other places, I've actually created a lot of connections with other students or teachers through wrestling. Where is it? Actually, Mick Foley's nephew goes to Canisteo Greenwood.
Okay.
So, like, I remember I was there visiting, and I was talking about wrestling, and they're like, "Oh," one of the teachers like brought up, was like, "Oh, if you're a history teacher, what are you reading?" I was like, "Nothing history related right now." And he's like, "Oh, why?" I was like, "I'm reading Have a Nice Day." And he goes like, "Oh, Mick Foley, his nephew goes here." And I was like, "No shit."
Awesome.
I was like, "Can we talk about that instead of school? That'd be great."
Now, and that's the thing. Has this allowed you to connect to students? I mean, do the guys at UPrep, they all know this is going on in the background?
100%. I put the flyers up in my room.
Okay.
I joke around with a lot, too. If I ever have free time, I try to show, like, clips online. Like I said, Fridays are Ric Flair Fridays. Every Friday. Woo! Yeah, every Friday we start with a clip of just his promos, just listening to him to talk, because I die laughing. Or, like, if we get done with something, we watch matches. And,
okay.
I mean, it works. The kids love it. And then my attention getter is I yell out, if you can hear my voice, give me 2 claps in Ric Flair. So the whole class just goes,
Woo!
And I love it. And I've had teachers complain about it. They're like, it's too loud. I was like, I don't care.
Question just for me then. I'm a big Ric Flair fan too. Favorite match?
The one I've been watching, I have to watch because it's the one it's just very technical, but it has all aspects of it. Is
Ricky Steamboat?
Yep, his championship against him for the
best 2 out of 3 or the
heavyweight championship.
Okay.
That one's my favorite one between them because it's readily available on YouTube. It's like over an hour long, and right at the very end
from
of
the
it,
first Clash of Champions, right?
Believe so. It's the one where right at the end. It starts the feud with Terry Funk.
Oh yeah,
Terry Funk came back from being in like movies and stuff. So they're making fun of him. They call him Mr. Hollywood. And then he like congratulated him. And Terry Funk was being real weird at the end of it. And I was like, "Why are you being so awkward?" And it was like, "Oh, he's planning on bashing you in the face."
I also love the I Quit match with Terry Funk. That's one of my favorites. So,
dude, yeah.
Okay, sorry for doing that.
That's cool. That was awesome. That's awesome. I love talking about this stuff. I can talk about anything except Mark Shepard. I'm sorry.
That's
and according to Ian, World War II. You can't talk about it.
I could talk about it for days. It's just I got to get going right now.
Yeah,
he was too busy watching.
Rob. It was all the wrestling things that go in that you.
Well, you popped up on my personal radar last year because Ian's now a freshman, and he did the 8th grade moving up ceremony last year.
Yeah.
And they had all the great little videos that the teachers did to wish the boys, congratulations, good luck, moving up, all the best to you. And they were cycling through all the teachers, and all of a sudden his face pops up on the big screen, and the crowd goes bonkers. I mean, every guy all the students just went, they were screaming and cheering and whatnot. I didn't even hear what he said in his video because
it wasn't good.
It was just all off the cuff. But the guys were just so happy to see this guy pop up on the screen, and I'm like, so I asked Ian later. I said, he's one of the popular ones, huh? Oh yeah, everybody loves Mr. Best. I'm like, okay, well then I want to know this guy.
I don't know why they
because you're jet flying, limousine.
Yeah, jet flying. Can't keep these crocodiles on the ground. I don't know. And that speech thing too. I started off immediately with a joke too in the video. They're like, give an inspirational thing. I was like, inspirational? Like, no offense, it's life. Like, I don't know. So I was just like, yeah, you guys are probably going to strive for perfection. Don't worry. Like, you probably won't ever really get perfection. Like, trying to be serious for a second. Like, yeah, you can strive for it. And then I was like, you can strive for perfection as much as you want. But it's a goal that you probably won't get. And I was like, unlike me, you'll probably never reach the perfection you all want to be.
I did catch that part.
I just kept going with that. And I remember when they recorded it, the teacher recorded it, was like, you sure you want to go with that? I was like, yeah, we're going with that. What are you going to go?
It worked for Kurt Hennig.
Seriously.
Yeah, I was like, what do you want to go
Mr.
with?
Perfect. Yep.
I just watched this Titantron today. I randomly do that. I just click on YouTube and it helps your search history or whatever. Brings up stuff and it just said Titantron of Mr. Perfect. And I was like, yep, we're watching that.
All right, future projects, something or dream projects, stuff that you want to get into you haven't to yet.
World War II.
Ian, we love you.
When you're a sophomore and you're taking global history, you will definitely talk about World War II then. And your junior year for U.S. history, you'll talk about it again. So you'll get it twice more in your high school career.
It's coming.
You will be tired of World War II before you're done.
I know, because I taught U.S. history one year.
It's an amazing topic.
I feel like it's just like, hey, this is why.
I teach math.
This is why Mr. Best is not great at teaching. He's getting the curriculum. My next project that I'm working on is I'm working on with my brother right now. We're trying to do skits and put them on YouTube. We did one. It's not good. I don't even tell people to watch it anymore. Him and I were dying laughing making it, but it's just 8 minutes long. Where it's no one has that 8 minute long attention span. It's all weight room inside jokes too.
Okay.
So we're no one will get this except us. But that's what we care about. We're just gonna make stuff because we keep.
That's how it starts.
Yeah, and then. Hopefully down the road, do something just like this, like a podcast. I want to get started. I got a buddy who wants to do one, but I don't know. We just kind of were like, yeah, we'll do it. And it just kind of pushed to the wayside, I guess.
It was, we had talked about doing a podcast for FC3 on several occasions, and it was Billy stepping up and saying, hey, guys, I have access to a studio. Yeah. And then it all kind of went downhill from there. But
Thanks.
Good job, Billy.
I do what I can.
The question is, Sherry, how are you feeling right now?
I'm sorry, what?
how are you
How are
feeling
you
right now?
feeling right now?
I know you were worried about this one.
You were a little
I
stressed
feel-
out at the beginning of this one.
We snuck a
No,
couple
I
Xanax
was-
into her
I-
pumpkin bread.
You had a lot of anxiety coming into this one.
No, I was stressed out a couple of weeks ago about this. I said before we started, I said, I'm okay now. I'm okay now.
So once she saw me, she
The
was
Twitch-
like, "Yeah, we'll be good."
Yes,
I saw him and
exactly.
went, "Whew,
This guy's
we don't have to
got it.
rely on
He can
Chris."
carry a show all on his own.
This
You don't
guy's
have to rely on
Actually,
Chris.
what it was she threatened him, and I had to message him and tell him not to poke the bear.
Yes,
And
I
then,
remember that
and
text.
then it was, or we're gonna have to come out, and I'm gonna have to hold you down so she can sock you a couple times.
Yeah.
I'm a lot shorter than he is, so I need help reaching to punch him in the head.
That's it. Because I have this propensity of saying, "Oh, I'll wing it." How are we handling this topic for third episode? We'll just wing it. No.
I am restraint trained, so I can get
how to
him
make
down
Sherry
to the ground.
twitch in one
so
easy
am I,
step.
so I know how to get out of them.
There was a time where I had Ian in a small child when he was a small child in a small child hole.
that?
Small
was
child
4.
holes are.
Okay.
He was 4 or 5.
Yes, I've been.
No, what people have
I
to
can do it to
understand,
Jules.
I'm the producer. My job is to make sure that
And wrangle
topics, and to wrangle him. But my
Good luck.
the whole point of my job is to make sure we have topics to talk about, that we know where we're going, that I'm bringing in people. And he texts me one day and says, "Oh, Ian's got this teacher. I'd love to have him in." I said, "That's great. When do you want him?" "Okay, I want him on this day." "Okay, that's great. What's the topic?" "I'll just wing it."
See, as a producer on the Brother Wee show, it just doesn't work that way. It just- whatever he wants to talk about, go. Okay.
So she's actually made me an enforcer. And
Is that why you're asking me if I took combat training?
yes,
So are you a heel or a face?
I'm gonna have
Yes,
to,
it depends on the day.
I gotta tag out. I'll tag in the Taekwondo right here.
That's it.
I'll let her do it.
Here comes Dolly and the magic
Can't
legs.
fight.
So Sherry's job is to wrangle Chris for the podcast. My job is to wrangle you during the convention weekend.
Did
So-
you notice
and,
there's
and
a
I'm the enforcer, so
There's
you're
a theme.
You're going to have to redirect to me
Wrangling
two
wide
Chris.
variety of people who their job is to wrangle Chris.
My job is to put him to
And
bed.
then he goes like this through the hallway. And then Dolly's like,
I go
he
walking
looks
down the
like an
hallway like one of
inflatable.
those inflatables in front of our cell phone place.
No, it's the monkey dance.
That's it.
There you go.
That's it.
It's like when people make those. What are they? Like people making like their final exams or whatever when they're doing the computer design for like CGI or whatever, and they just put up the videos on YouTube. That's what you look like down the hallway, where it's just like people flailing arms.
Yes, that's pretty much
That's him.
that's me,
Nice.
especially when I'm trying to like get somebody's attention or just be happy. I don't know. It's one of those
Or
things.
go to the bathroom.
But have you noticed? Yeah.
So wait.
That's what it was.
Dolly bro, Chris.
If there's any flailing arms while you're going to the bathroom, it's going to be
Can someone
messy.
explain the science to that to me? I
explaining,
teach
I'm just-
history. I just don't. I guess I don't understand the science behind that.
Yeah,
Does it
well.
keep everything loose? Does it get?
I was
Like, what
when we were at MiniCon at
what are we
Grease Ridge
shaking
Center.
exactly?
Yes, well, when we were at MiniCon and we were at Grease Ridge Center Mall, and I had one of those squirrel, hi there moments. I suddenly realized now is a good time to go do that thing. And so I turned and started basically, fast walking down the hallway. And I'm like, hey, got the arms away. And so Dolly, that's when the inflatable guy in front of the cell phone place. That's when that whole adage came up. You'll
And
notice that.
I was going up the road the other day and I passed
Hey,
something.
I think that's Chris. No, that's real. That's actually an inflatable.
I don't know where I was, but I might have been on East Henrietta Road, past one of the inflatables like this. I'm like, wow, Chris.
Chris has got to go to the bathroom.
Never going to be able to look at him the same.
You'll notice
Either
that
Chris or
Make
those
one out of
blow up.
Uncle Jesse.
half the staff, their sub job or some sort of along the lines is to basically keep me in line. So and half the staff is doing it.
Just
They're like,
picture Chris doing whatever he does with this music. Just old Benny Hill music.
Oh yeah.
Is that your signal?
Nice.
Yeah.
See,
No.
you know
How
what the
much
worst
time are we at?
Oh, I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
Tanya, the worst part
That
is
was awesome.
that
comes off.
we've
That's
known
crazy.
Chris a really long time.
I'm sorry.
yes.
I mean, I'm sorry for both of us. But
Sure, stressful,
haven't
too.
we been keeping Chris in line in some way, shape, or form.
There was a time.
Extremely
There was a time between
There's a whole new generation.
1995 and 1990 something or other, 2000, where I wasn't wrangling him anymore.
Me neither.
So
how much trouble did he really get into?
a lot.
That's another podcast entirely.
It was Dan's job to wrangle him.
He did not take that
No.
job seriously.
Dan left him unsupervised.
In my
Way
defense,
too
I was
much.
left unsupervised. Yes, thank you very much. All right, that's enough of that. That's enough.
What?
We're going to call it a day. So
Too close to the truth?
thank you, Pat.
Oh, thank you, guys.
He really
Appreciate
doesn't want
having
to
you
wrestle
here,
with
man.
that.
Hold on.
And that's the closing music. It's over with. This has been Monkey Business, and bye.
Professionalism.
Follow us on Facebook or something.
www.fc3roc.com.
Yes, and
June
sponsor
9th
us
and 10th.
because we're so professional. Bye.
That's it.
Oh my God.
Okay, so that's how you get me to not twitch.
That's
You
how
just say, I'm just going to allow you guys to make fun of me, and I'll be like, okay, I'm there.
It's like the highlight of my day. You guys are lovely. You guys
Okay.
are lucky I fucking love you.
There, I'm glad I got that all on tape.